So guys, it's been a while. Okay, so remember when we got stuck in episode 3? Well, I'm currently replaying it up until the part where we last stopped off. But I'm doing that off stream. This is me doing the same thing, but we're doing the developer commentary of Season 1, Episode 1, since we already saw Season 1, Episode 1. We already saw the return of The Walking Dead. New Day. David Fenny. I'm sorry for butchering anyone's name here. Melissa Hutchinson. Dennis Lenart. Julian Kwasniewski, and Kent Muddle play a new day while sharing stories from working on the game that started it all. It's an hour and a half long. This is gonna be good.
Okay, so we actually start for real?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll do a cheesy little intro. All right.
Cast commentary.
Hello and welcome to the Walking Dead Definitive Series Developer Commentary. Did you say oh?
Wait, my microphone's not on, or I don't hear anything. Sorry.
Damn
Because I
it.
switched out packs.
Just turn it up.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
turn it up. There you
Oh,
go.
now it's on.
Oh, it
Okay,
sounds
cool.
good. doesn't
He's
it?
a story
Is
guy.
that better?
He's a story
Sorry,
guy.
okay, cool.
Okay, take 7.
Okay, here we go. Hello and welcome to the Walking Dead Definitive Series Developers Commentary track. I think there's enough words in that title. My name is Kent Muedel. I am creative director of the final season and a cinematic artist on this season. And I'm joined by an all-star cast of other developers who also worked on the season, and they are, in sequence,
Dennis Lenart. I was a director and, head of cinematic department and been at Telltale forever.
OG.
Really, truly. I am Melissa Hutchison, and I am the voice of Clementine.
And I'm Dave Fenoy, and I am not a developer, but I am the voice of Lee Everett.
And I'm Julian Kwasniewski, and I did the voice direction and involved in casting and babysitting the talent.
Which is a task.
I'm so glad someone did that.
And I worked in what became known as the fun office.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
Studio
Oh,
Joy.
boy.
Studio
Except
Joy
for
was
a
the
couple
fun office.
specific things.
All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to play through the first episode of the first season and just talk about memories of making it as we go. So
What if we
I'm
can't
gonna be
remember
thinking
that
about
far
memories
back?
and
No,
back.
I'm just kidding.
make up stuff. No one will know.
But I'm
the
gonna
difference.
talk
Just
about all
correct
this
it.
stuff
It was a
afterwards.
long time ago.
Before we start, I just want to give a shout out to Sean Vanneman and Jake Rodkin.
Yeah.
Yes.
We wish could be here, but couldn't, and we'll try to talk about as much stuff as we remember
Who are they now?
to get them. Yeah, they were only the leads on this season. But yeah, we definitely wouldn't be here without them, and
Yes.
they made a lot of amazing decisions that we got to work with on the rest of the season. So.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Here, here. They make good video games. All right,
Yes.
let's start. But this is also a good video game.
100 Game of the Year awards.
Over.
That's true. More Game
I
of the Year
believe.
awards than it seems possible.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Just inventing companies to
Sean
give
will
awards.
remember this.
And so begins.
Hey, we're in the Skybound offices right now. Look at that.
What?
Yep.
This has come real full circle.
Seriously.
So all the episode titles, or the title card of The Walking Dead, I remember having different colors, which was
Yeah.
a Jake thing planned out from the beginning. Random detail that I didn't know when I was working on episode 2, and I changed the color, and then he came to me and went, "Why are you
Oh, that's
not doing
awesome.
the thing we're supposed to do?" I was like, "Oh, whoops."
There he is.
It's good.
Wow. There he is.
There's Sean Bannerman.
Hey.
Sean Bannerman.
Yay! Hey, Jake, Sean.
I like Sean's Bannerman. Hey, there's Mark Barbalak.
Oh yeah.
Who's also the legal counsel for
Yes,
Telltale.
the attorney for Telltale Games.
This the rear view mirror shot weirdly was like the most complicated technical thing we'd ever done in the Telltale engine at the time.
Isn't there like an entire second lead just sitting outside the side of the car when we see the shots of him reflected in the window?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
With just like a render constant alpha low or something. Yeah. But I remember hearing the pitch for this and thinking that starting in the back of a cop car on your way to jail was a pretty awesome setting for starting a game, and immediately people just getting invested in wanting to figure out
What's
what's
going
happening.
on? Yeah.
Who is this guy?
I love all
what's
the little
past?
things you see out the window, too.
This is a good looping.
I feel like that
title
was the
set.
station wagon that the stranger has in episode 2 that
Oh,
we just
that's
passed.
Yeah.
Probably just a reuse of we needed car models at the time.
I think we added him in the collection version.
He's
One version
passing
of this, I
in the
think he was
wrong
put in.
lane.
Yeah, what's he doing? He's about.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure from
That's
a
awesome.
design
they?
standpoint,
I don't
the idea of starting really limited for people in you just get control over the camera to sort of get comfortable with moving it around before you're actually in free walks and having to navigate in space as well. Yep. I think Eric Parsons worked on all of this stuff for
Yeah.
a long time. Typically at Telltale, the first scenes of any game go under extreme amounts of scrutiny. So
That's me on the radio.
Was that you?
Yeah.
You're all over
I'm
the
the
place.
answering machine. I'm the radio. I take
Yeah.
the big gigs.
There are
Yeah.
no small parts,
There
only
are.
small
That's
actors.
right.
Man, I got paid a lot for that too.
This
He's
is.
got a bit of his own agency as a character. He's not totally just the player.
You know what I remember is doing this first episode. 20 minutes in, I was like, "Wow, this is really good. This is good writing."
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
I was really happy that I got this gig.
as we
I think
we
we
all
all are
yeah,
happy that
definitely.
you got this
And what
gig.
was great is those were the days when
very
we
mutual.
we flew them up, and so Dave would stay in Fairfax
yeah.
at the inn.
At the one hotel.
and then you introduced me to all your radio buddies like Dave Padilla.
Oh, Dave Padilla.
We partied with Dave.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. When I
kinda
was on the radio on KSOL in the Bay Area in the 80s, Dave was my news guy.
That's so funny. He still, I hear him all the time.
Oh, yeah. KCBS.
It's good.
There you go.
And you know, you can't just say man. You really got to get that feeling. Man.
Achieved. You achieved.
Some of your finest acting work.
I definitely remember excitement around the office when there was a big search to find a Lee character, and it was a long, hard journey. And then I remember as soon as, oh god, now everything's coming off the rails.
I can just keep going.
Look out!
As soon as we heard your voice and audition, everybody, it was just like the whole office was like, all right, cool, cast, done.
That's
Like, and it was like
him.
amazing moment.
Well, we found Dave because he played a character in a Law and Order game, right?
Yeah.
He played
Right.
Montrose.
Wait, what?
I was
A
a
villainous
I was
self-help
a
guru.
crooked politician.
Yep.
Well, and then also with Melissa as well, I remember in the early days, like Sean talking about how like this.
This is developer commentary of season 1, episode 1.
Nothing will work in this game if we don't have a good Clementine, and that was like the
Exactly.
big
Oh, yeah.
worry.
So
It was
true.
just like there's got to be someone to balance out like the strength that Dave brings for
Well-
his performance, and like obviously just having someone who can really embody that character and make her not feel like the typical video game kid, which all other video game
Right.
like children were till that
Weren't you
time.
guys also auditioning?
Well, I was
actual
going to say
children?
we did that. Yeah, and I have a bunch of them that I listen to, and they're all kids, but they could never have the
Emotional. range.
gravity that
It's a pretty-
that you needed some wisdom in
Yeah.
there. It gets heavy.
This is a
And thing is, it's amazing because she, Melissa Hutchinson, she's played Clementine from season 1 all the way to season 4, the final season, and she has done an amazing job as Clementine, and all of them have done an amazing job as their own characters, and it's just amazing. Okay, good night, man.
kid that goes through a lot.
Well, and also just the aging over the seasons.
Right.
You know,
Which wasn't known that
Like-
would happen, actually.
Yeah.
I don't.
And you can her voice, of course, changed because she was getting older, but you could still tell. You could still you'd know it's Clementine. It's Clementine. You'd know it's her. Even if you didn't play season 4 and or 3. Even if you just played season 1 and you heard, you didn't see any videos or anything, and you just heard season 4 Clementine's voice, you're just like, who is... That's Clementine.
but
that
just
was the
imagine
Tension.
if a kid had,
going
you
into
know,
season 1.
gone off to college or something, and wait, we need you in this game.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. You can't get that.
Actually, no. I think you'd have to
I mean,
play
I'd
season
rather
2.
personally voice act in college.
Yeah,
I mean,
come
voice
on.
acting, but that's just me, and that's what I did.
Well, and I think
Boom, that's my story.
on a developer side too, Sean and Jake from like the very early days always sort of talk to the team about, treat Clementine as an adult. Like,
Yeah.
think of her as that as opposed to a kid when you're making choices. And it definitely was a thing that made all the difference in the world because people
Right.
immediately throw out all the tropes you think and then like really sort of get your head into the character when you're sort of doing animation stuff or putting together the cinematics and
Well, and what you're speaking on as far as the children, you really see that, especially when she's reflecting in scenes with Duck.
yes,
Duck
totally,
is that
yeah.
kid that
Absolutely.
if
Yeah.
he was the kid that
I'm gonna
Lee
drive the
found, it would be like,
tractor.
Yep.
okie dokie, Duck.
This is a great. I love this whole scene.
First
Such a
Walker.
good, like horror setup.
Yeah, it's
Here, let me go help this cop that was driving. He looks injured.
You know what's interesting about this, and Dennis and Kent, I might be totally wrong,
It's a
but
cop.
not too many people at Telltale were actually watching, and here I am sitting in Skybound. We're not. This is like really, really. There wasn't like hardcore, like, oh, I watched the show.
I know,
every
and we
week.
were-
It was
we would
all
we were
comic
watching it.
book.
Hadn't the show like
Yeah.
just started?
It was
Yep.
like
Like,
going
around
into
the time
the
this game
second
coming out?
season
It
because I was a fan of the show.
yeah,
The show had been on how many seasons?
I think it was going either finishing second season or going into the second season.
yeah.
Really?
And it was great. Like I
Oh,
was
yeah.
watching it. I actually only meant to.
How I got into The Walking Dead actually is like, I know it was like most people were asleep, but I remember it was one of my brothers and my mom, and The Walking Dead was on, and because I was little, and my brother messaged me, that's The Walking Dead, and he said that's The Walking Dead, they're coming here, and that kind of got me scared and stuff. But then I think my mom relieved me, it's fine, and then, well, I think later I like used to watch the show. Everyone, I think it was when like I either started watching it from the beginning or made into the show, cause it was during season 1, and I know I ended up watching the entirety of season 1. And I've seen The Walking Dead, the show, so many times because like how they usually do when a new season's coming up, they play all seasons, every single season starting from season 1 up until the end of the last season, and then it goes up to the start of the current season. And one day I heard my friend told me about it, but my brother told me about it, and I played it, and it was amazing, but it is amazing, and there's some Walking Dead games that we're just not going to talk about because they were bad. But I actually heard the VR game's actually good, but so far, in my opinion, Telltale's The Walking Dead is the best Walking Dead game series. Walking Dead games ever.
watch a few episodes to like get. We were still doing sound at the time, and just to see how they did the ambiances and what the zombies sound like, and then I got hooked on it.
Right. Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I was watching it, but not a lot. But it was a show that I was sampling because everybody was, oh, well, you gotta watch The
Yeah,
Walking
yeah.
Dead.
Right. No, it was.
And then I really did when this audition came up.
Yeah,
And I remember episode 1 or 2, Rolling Stone magazine came out and said the game is better than the TV show.
yeah, I remember.
Drop your mic. Just knock
Yeah.
it over right now. Boom.
There's
Really?
something I want to ask about here. I remember this part being. I remember at one point the entire game was first person,
Yeah, so
and there was some kind of somewhat kind of late change.
one of
Thank
the things
God that was
relevant to
changed.
bring up is one of the early sort of conceits of the game, where I remember Sean and Jake talking a lot about how like players never care about their character dying because they're going to come back in 20 seconds after the load
Right.
screen. But investing in time in other characters to make it seem like they could die at any time was sort of like the big twist of what made this game really interesting.
And
is
it
'cause
was.
you're
I
always-
think it's what people really got invested in these characters more than I'd ever seen on
For
anything.
sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because when we would go to, and it still happens, to go to conventions, and we were able to do some together, what people would say is, I've never cared about characters in a video game before.
Right.
And then you and Clementine
Oh, yeah.
made me cry.
I saw you. We were at what was it, Dragon Con Atlanta. You were talking to someone, and someone was coming up to our line, and he just heard your voice. And this is a grown man, and he stood there, and he just started to like tears out of his eyes, cry.
That's because I
Just
owed him
hearing-
money.
But no, it's to see this effect. It's. I mean, people share like the craziest
Yeah.
stories of how this game has taken them through like the
Yeah.
shittiest of times, or they've met their best friends, or tra la la. Like so many like.
I've
So many video games through Walking Dead, through Devil May Cry, Call of Duty, Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball, Grand Theft Auto, what else? Call of Duty. I said Call of Duty, and Kingdom Hearts. And through video games as a whole, I met so many awesome people, and you guys hear a good amount of them commonly because I talk to them like every day, if not almost every day. They are one of the most they're one of the most awesomest. One of them. Okay, if I say anything that sounds stupid or does not as in grammar-wise, please, I'm sorry, but they're one of the most awesomest people. I met one of the most, not like the most, because I met a lot of awesome people, but they're a good one of the good set for how okay, I'm trying to say this without having stupid grammar, but one of my group of best friends, basically. One of my, because I have multiple best friends. Stop. Just, I sound stupid, but kind of. I mean, not on all things, but yeah. And I've met a lot of awesome people and friends through video games. Of course, I met friends in real life, and they're awesome, and they're best friends, and but yeah.
Crazy stories.
I've met people who didn't have a dad that said Lee became their surrogate father.
Aww.
That
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, I've cried at conventions.
Yeah.
I've reached.
Walking Dead was the first game that actually full on made me cry. It is the first game that made me full on cry. Because I cried when Lee died. Every moment, every part that made me cry or tear up in The Walking Dead still does to this day. No matter how many, even if I played it multiple times, it still gets me emotional, and I love it. It's just, this series is amazing, and I love it.
Points where people tell me things that
Yeah.
I'm just it's overwhelmingly moving.
I remember you both and a couple other people saying that too. That
Especially season 4, because remember the channel Christopher Winters, who I was like, it's when I didn't have an email at the time, my brother let me use his account, just didn't want me to change the name or anything, blah. My Walking Dead, me playing through the Walking Dead games and all that stuff, is there, live streamed, and if you want to see my first ever full-on reaction to season 4, especially episode 4, because I actually full-on cried. Spoilers, I'm not gonna say for spoilers, But if you've seen it, you do know why that made me like full on cry, and that was the first time a game actually made me full on cry. Now, Kingdom Hearts 3, or any Kingdom Hearts game, it still gets me, especially the freaking ending, because I actually full on cried. That was the second time I full on cried on stream. And after I beat Yuzuru, I talked about some, because we beat Kingdom Hearts 3, and like remind the entire game, and I fully and like not just like the game stuff, but all you guys finding everything. I started crying, and it is a good cry though. It is a good cry. I know, call me an emotional bitch, but it was a good cry though. But yeah, like not a sad cry, a happy cry. Anyways, let's get back to this. I'm pausing so much.
When
Please
you
don't leave.
experienced that, it was really surreal at first
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, as far as working with Telltale,
By the way, Telltale's come back. I know they're making a Wolf Among Us Season 2. I'm hoping for a Game of Thrones Season 2, because that got left off in a cliffhanger. Of course, if we're getting any more Walking Dead like this, it's going to be from Skybound.
because I go way back with Telltale games.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
Because they have, they own the Walking Dead Telltale series now.
most of the characters
After Telltale,
I've played have
Let's get
all
back
been
to it.
comedy too. So this was the first, well, not even with Telltale. This is the first game I worked on where there's just so much emotional depth and story. And Hashtag,
I
thank
have been
you,
on
Telltale.
I've been on a bunch of games, but this was clearly the best script that I had done, and it had the most interaction with other characters, and
Just know, I played through all 4. I played Season 1, 2, Michonne miniseries, 3 New Frontier, and 4 the final season so many times, but I still haven't played The Walking Dead in a while, and scenes are going to get me harder than usual in the feels.
Well, and this will probably be a great time to mention, and not just because you're in the room, Julian, but I mean, beyond The Walking Dead, any game I've ever worked on with you or any project, but when you read with us, because obviously we don't record together,
Right.
actors in the same room together, and you directing us, you really performed, which is amazing, because you'll have someone read lines with you sometimes, but you read the lines, because,
That's a good point.
an actor.
And-
Well, we didn't have feeders then.
Oh,
So
yeah.
literally the first actor to go set the tone for the whole damn episode.
Right.
And so yeah, that's where we would, because I always would work closely with Dennis or Sean or whoever was in the booth with me,
Right.
and we would say like, this seems really quiet, and or they're 20 feet away, so I would try to mimic that.
But it is a good point to bring up, because I remember, like, we would, as sort of like the dev team, be in a session, with like Julian all day, and 3 or 4 different actors would come in, and we're just going through like this 10-hour marathon.
Totally.
But yeah, at 6 p.m., like, Julian's still like giving it his all, like
Yeah.
reading all the other parts against it, and we're just like, I was just tired
How
sitting
does he
there.
do that? Yeah. So Rebecca Schweitzer, I just have to mention that
Yeah.
the
That's
answering
her.
machine
Yeah.
is such a
good
small
point. That's
part
great.
of this
And-
first
and
episode.
that's
she
her
just
audition.
Nailed it. And that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's her audition, and it was used in the game. And it was also used in a trailer, and it was one of the most effective trailers
was.
that I remember.
Yeah, and it was the
Seeing
first
this.
time where we took an audition, and then we went back to the agents and said, "Oh, and that's me as the answering machine voice."
Nice.
If we were
I
drinking
really-
right now,
all the
we'd
big
do
parts.
shots every
I'm
time we hear Julian.
I'm still spending those 20s. That was a good one. But Rebecca, and we processed the audition and then went back and said, "You got the role. You never have to come in. You're done."
That's awesome.
That's
we
always
don't
a nice
want to
call.
see you, but
Yeah, exactly.
we're going to use your voice.
Awesome.
I
And
love
we
those.
might send you a check.
I love how the messages too. I just heard them when we were at the office with Kent the other day. Just how they progress. Oh, there's some crazy guy at the ER or whatever, and
yeah.
I love how she
Yeah,
just
she
covers
nailed
the
it.
entire
She's
apocalypse
like, said
in,
it. She
in
really
4
said
It's a
minutes.
very
Set.
efficient zombie apocalypse story, in like
It-
3
totally.
lines, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God, finally. I I don't know if you tried to reach us. All the calls are getting dropped. They're not letting us leave and aren't telling us anything about Atlanta. Please, please, just leave the city and take Clementine with you back to Murrieta. I've got to get back to the hospital.
This is
Please
like
let me know that you're
very, very good to set up this stuff when you know you was gonna happen.
If you can hear this, call the police. That's 911. We love you. We love you. We love you.
There's always that character, like, in, like, The Walking Dead, there's, like, those characters that, like, you like them at first, but then you don't end up liking them. Or you don't like them at first, and then you end up liking them, or you like them at first, and then continue liking that character. You don't like that character, and you continue not like that character. Like Lily. Yeah, she's a bitch. So, no, well, of course, Clementine. Kenny. Okay, Ben, I got pissed at when I found out what he did. Who else? Oh, yeah. Nick and Rebecca in season 2. Because Rebecca was being such a bitch, like, oh, just, let her, just kill her, she's bitten, or she's a carver, just kill her. And Nick couldn't even freaking, like, does he not know, even I know this, if you're not going to pull the trigger, if you're not going to shoot, do not have your finger on the trigger. You have it above it, on the side of the gun, right above the trigger. When you know you're going to shoot, and you're getting ready to, that's when you put your finger on the trigger. And he was such, like, he was an asshole, but afterwards, after you find out everything about Carver and the baby and everything, you start to, well, feel bad for, like, Nick and Rebecca. You start to like them more. And, like, Luke, Pete, Sarah, and everyone, yeah. Carlos, I don't know. Carlos, he was just worried for his daughter, so you can't blame him. So, yeah. Season 3. Not many at the start. We're talking about good characters. Season 4. Nah.
Hello?
You need to be quiet.
Who is this?
I'm Clementine. This is my house.
Hi, Clementine. I'm Lee.
You're not my daddy.
No, I'm not. How old are you?
8.
And you're all alone?
Yes. I don't know where anybody is.
You just feel so...
This
You just feel so bad for Clementine. Because you know her parents... She doesn't know, but you know her parents are dead. Her babysitter's dead. She's all alone when the world's completely going to hell. And there's no one else. But then and then Lee finds her and takes care of her, and they kind of form, like, I'd say, like, a really, like, father-daughter bond, like Joel and Ellie in The Last of Us. And it's really nice. I'd say, like, between how close characters are in relationships, Lee Lee would be more of a father to Clementine. Kenny'd be like more of the uncle to Clementine, and I think Luke would be like the brother to Clementine. And AJ's basically Clementine's son. She's been taking care of him basically almost all of his life so far. And I don't know you guys, but I prefer like Clementine being with Lewis
This was
in
a
season
scary.
4.
I remember this being. This is an awesome season.
I think those parents would have left their kid with a babysitter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here she comes. This was a step up cinematically for Telltale as well too. Before we were doing mostly adventure games with Jurassic Park, there was an effort to sort of be more film-like, but it was more action-y than anything, and I felt like this was a big step forward. It was a big challenge, I know, for the department
There
to
she is.
get subtle with it.
Yeah, no, and I just think the visual style too was just so.
Well, there's the
there's the
babysitter,
babysitter.
Dave.
Hey, it's Sandra. Oh, good old button mashing.
Oh, God.
Sorry, I stepped on your introduction, but that was,
It's
that was
yeah,
Clementine.
how
There she was.
dare you. That's
fair,
okay.
Oh, and Lee just
I'll
slipped on
be
the blood.
around for a
He is
while.
so slippery.
That was a contentious back and forth, I think,
About
of
how
the
slippery
slipping
he
on
should
the
be.
blood. Yeah.
Well, he's got a bad leg. And,
He's fell so many times in this
it's,
episode.
he hasn't seen zombies before.
Here we go.
Like Lee, he gets in a car crash. I wouldn't consider that falling. He falls out of the car. He basically falls down when the police officer gets up. He trips over like how many? It's 1, 2. Trips over like a rock or a tree stump when he's getting chased by walkers. Jumps over the fence and like falls down. He slips on the blood. He slips on the blood again. The walker grabs him. What else? I think that's it. Then you get to, I'm thinking next time he falls is, at the gas station. Or not the gas station, at the motor inn. He can fall down if you choose not to give the girl the gun. Irene, I think, yeah, her name's Irene, I'm sure. I'm sure. Oh no, he falls in the drugstore when he runs Clementine when she's getting attacked by Walker. Then he can fall, off the balcony. I think that's what it is. And then Larry punches him and he falls down. Lee falls down, falls down / gets knocked down 10 times in this episode.
Oh.
I've played the Walking Dead game so many times, I can remember it like that.
Give me that hammer.
Give me that
Give me
hammer.
that hammer.
I love that their
Quickly,
relationship
child.
starts with her saving him.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
that's
nice.
cool.
That's great.
Yeah.
So Becky Arkovich worked on this babysitter stuff for I don't even know how many months.
A lot.
But it was the first big action scene in the game that was sort of a new style of what we were doing. So this went through so many iterations and ripped up and redone, and she stuck through it and made an awesome thing.
That's amazing to me.
Good
how-
voiceover there. Good effects.
You
Yeah.
sound a lot like him.
I
too.
remember.
When we did the episode, season 4, just hearing some of like who works. Oh, actually, at the playthrough in Oakland for the final episode of season 4, I was sitting next to a woman named Cadet, and she I was like, oh, well, what did you do at Telltale? And she specifically worked on, and now I'm going to screw it up. Sorry, Cadet, but I think it was the flashback at Erickson's. Anyways, we may not know.
She did all the dream sequences in season 4, Cadet.
Yes, but it's like it's so like you don't. I forget
Yeah,
how like
yeah.
well here's your one
Yep.
thing that you're going to be working on, and
That was the
she
cool
didn't
thing,
know the
yeah.
end of the game when I'm not going to spoil it for those or whatever. But when something big happened, she was like, oh my god, and I'm like, oh, you didn't know about this?
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah, you
no,
can
I
get-
literally only worked on this scene.
In your own world.
That was the
sometimes.
Yeah.
cool thing about Telltale. There are so many of them we just knew from bugs or from email, and you'd finally meet someone like, oh my god, that's you? And
You don't look
Yeah.
anything
You don't look like your
what I
name.
thought you
Yeah.
looked like.
But they would spend so much time on
Just one like
little
Becky
piece.
Becky and the Babysitter. Wow,
And
that'd be a
there's
great
the hat.
movie. Or,
That's the album.
It's great.
yeah. Oh, the hat. Yay.
Yeah.
Finally
I was
know
looking
what
at the
that
dialogue file for the
Legacy.
scene,
baseball
and the
hat
final
or
version
what
of
that
the babysitter
hat
fight
is.
ended up being the one. The folder just says
At the end of
Andrew's
season
new
3.
babysitter fight or new baby fight.
Yeah, that's good.
Because there's like a bunch of folders of like iterations of the babysitter fight still
Yeah.
in the dialogue
Baby
file.
Fight 17.
And the final one, I guess, must have been Andrew Langley.
Yep.
Langley.
Well, he
Yeah.
probably wired it up and,
Yeah.
and helped with the sign on it. Yeah. But I remember that's the thing a lot of people don't realize about games is usually when they ship, specifically Telltale games because it's such a quick episodic schedule. There's so much stuff that is just left over that's cut or things that like
Yeah.
whole scenes that are
In the game,
there. You
yeah.
know. And actually nowadays people have sort of developed tools where they can rip that stuff
I love
out, and
that.
it's great.
Oh, look, little Clem.
There's Chet.
Chet, that's
Chet.
his name. I was, trying
I
to
was gonna
remember.
ask who are these guys again?
That's Sean Green. He's a canon comic character.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Chet has become kind of a meme on the internet because he wants to get home for hot dish.
Oh yes.
So Sean's really good at finding random details that people remember like that just make everything feel grounded. Which is pretty funny.
It makes him round him as a character.
Yeah.
I understand that he wants that hot dish.
It's this motivation.
It still hasn't been
Who
an hour.
voiced those guys? Do you remember, Julian?
Chet
Guys, probably because of me talking.
was
Sorry to-
Brian Davis.
Oh yeah, cool.
And
I think I remember that. He was-
there was some comment. There was like fans made a lot of videos of they took scenes and then they turned them into comedies. And there's one where Lee's rolling around town in the truck, blasting music, and he's like, I can't find it. I tried to find it.
Oh,
for
yeah,
the-
I've seen that.
It was so freaking
great.
funny.
What was he playing? Snoop?
No, yeah, all you hear is bass. And then he stops and he gets out of the car.
Well,
No, he
yeah,
gets
hand
out of the
it
car and he like goes in the house and then he comes back out.
That's great.
Yeah.
I
And the car's
almost.
vibrating. It was
Yeah, I
awesome.
want to say, well, people have too much time on their hands, but when gems like that pop up, I'm just
Oh, I
so
love it.
grateful for human beings
I know,
who
me
put
too.
the time into
I agree.
doing
It's
those
really cool.
things.
I
You know,
think-
my favorite thing used to be after, at least on in sort of the early days, like season 1 style, where an episode would come out and I would just watch playthroughs that night of like
Yeah.
people live streaming it and just seeing their
Totally,
reactions. It's super fun.
Totally, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is it. It was this scene, and then he turns off the stereo, gets out.
I remember at such like the end of episode 5 when Peter Pie was playing, and it's just like at such like a big part that's gonna be so emotional. He's if you pause it, it's like a split second for if you pause it. He accidentally opens up it and then exits out. I don't think I'm allowed to say it on YouTube, but you see kind of his history, I think, and you see some websites there, and well, yeah, and then oh, Peter Pie, it's such a big emotional like scene. We end up seeing your browsing history. But yeah. And then all that stuff, and then he started crying. I watched PewDiePie's. I watched every single one of PewDiePie's videos. Walking Dead.
Are we about to meet Andy St.
I wouldn't
John?
even know
Oh,
how
yeah.
to find that.
Really quick, I'll dive back into a thing from earlier. The first-person prototype. So the origin, of this game. There was an early sort of zombie, we call it the spinning plates prototype.
Yeah.
Maybe even a year before this, like actual production started on this, where it was an attempt to find just a sort of a new way of storytelling and figuring out like what mechanics we could use to get people invested in characters in a scene and like have things going on where they have to make tough choices and there's an imminent threat. So Zombies was a place to start. The relationship with Skybound had been sort of slowly forming, and we got the eventual suggestion of like, oh, maybe this could, like, we could turn this into something that's Walking Dead based, which was super exciting for everybody because we were really stoked to work on it.
That's cool.
But that one, actually, I don't remember if the original prototype was first person, but then once we sort of started in earnest on season 1, kind of just at a high level concept, Carl and Eric Parsons and Sean and Jake worked on a first-person prototype that we use the motor in environment, and you basically walk around in first person. Everything happened in first person. There was no third-person cinematics, and it was a whole scene that was playable. And I hope someone has it out there.
I
You can
know,
see it
that'd be
someday, 'cause
really
it was really interesting.
to see.
And then that turned into a version where it was sort of half first person, half third person, and there
Got
was a
it.
prototype for that as well,
What
which
was-
actually worked really well too.
What was the one that was in? I know it was the Home Depot office, and it was the. They were in like a medical facility. Or
The morgue.
the morgue.
Yeah,
they
that
were-
was a test environment. Yeah, there was. I don't know if legally we can say what we used,
Oh, okay.
but there were other characters
Other people.
from other IPs that were just laying around in the
Yeah.
Telltale tool, and so a
laying
prototype
around.
was made
Oh, that's
using
cool,
a bunch
'cause
of.
I remember
those
seeing- that was the
Sam
first
Max
time I saw it.
characters and all sorts of stuff.
I was
so-
totally off the mark, by the way. This is not Andy St. John. We're not quite there yet. This is Herschel.
Oh yeah.
So
This
I
is-
just need to correct myself because I know there's someone out there right now going, "Whoa,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
wrong."
It's been tweeted many times.
Thankfully, this isn't
God.
live. Edit
There's
that
a
out.
there's a farm
Clementine
there's a
doesn't know
farm
what's
per
going
episode.
on.
Chuck Carucalis.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Chuck
Oh,
played
Chuck.
Herschel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was
Oh.
Herschel, the deepest voice
Oh yeah,
in the
Chuck's
industry.
got
Did I
quite the
miss the-
vocals on him?
The callback where Sean Green introduces you and Herschel asks who you are, and
That
he
stuff
calls
did
back your
that
choice.
stuff did happen.
Okay.
I'm actually unsure if I played it correctly.
Okay, so it's. Yeah, guys. Okay, we're gonna. Okay,
So-
where's up? 25 minutes. I'm actually gonna put that because I'm gonna stop this right now because I'm getting really tired. As much as I'd love to continue watching this, I want to go to sleep. But don't worry, actually, I think I'll just remember it because okay, 25 minutes. So, anyways, we're gonna end this off right now. See you next one. Peace.